I think I faced his uncle.
Well, back
too.
here at Scotiabank Field at Nat Bailey Stadium, Vancouver Canadians will head to the bottom of the first. We're going to get a look at a couple of draft picks from the 2019 class. It'll be Tanner Morris and Trevor Schwecke and Philip Clark. Three guys, three different journeys throughout the NCAA, but they all find their way into the Canadians' colors here this afternoon at Nat Bailey Stadium. Well, don't forget, you don't have to miss any of the action this season at the Nat. Get your Canadians tickets today. You can call us at 604-872-5232, or, of course, you can go to CanadiansBaseball.com. Home batting order for the Vancouver Canadians, as mentioned, will be Morris, Schwecke, and Clark. But Gregory Contreras, the DH, will hit fourth. Cameron Eden out of the University of California at Berkeley hitting fifth. And if things go well, Brett Wright, Dominic Abadesa, the left fielder, will hit seventh. Luis De Los Santos and Adrian Ramos will round out the starting nine. All trying to get a little run support for Grant Townsend. Defensive alignment for the Everett Aquasox. You've got Miguel Perez in center. Trent Tingelstad is in right. Cade Marlowe is in left. Around the horn defensively in the infield, Patrick Frick at third. Cash Gladfelter is on at first. Cesar Astures Jr. and Utah Jones, the second baseman, up the middle. Carter Binns, he's calling the balls and strikes, or at least the pitches that he hopes are called strikes and not balls. You can see the gray skies above. Quite a stark contrast from our first three broadcasts, where it's always been blue skies and sunshine, but you said it, Ricky, a little less sweat tonight. It's a perfect night for baseball.
Frisky, that's for sure.
Frisky? I'll take it. I've never heard a gray sky called frisky. Tanner Morris is quietly putting together a pretty good season, hitting .253, couple of home runs. He's one of those guys that you don't really realize it until you look at the box score at the end of the game. Then, oh, that's right, he had 2 hits in this game. Fastball misses outside. The count goes to 1-0. You're looking at a first rounder of the Seattle Mariners, and a lot of fans down the interstate. Of course, we're about 2.5 hours north of Seattle, all looking in very intently on George Kirby. Pitch foul back at 95, and the count balances at 1-1.
Just from his first 2 pitches, sorry, Rob. From his first 2 pitches, you can just tell that ball jumps out of his hand, and then it gets on you quick.
Infielders at the ready. Morris with the black lacquered bat awaits the pitch. It misses up and away, and the count goes to 2-1. We have been absolutely spoiled in this series with blue chip prospects. Night 1, we got to see the big right-hander Alek Manoah. Last night, we got a double whammy between Adam Kloffenstein for the Canadians and Brandon Williamson, the second rounder for the Mariners. And a pitch in for strike balances a count of 2-2. And of course, tonight we get the first rounder in George Kirby. That's not bad for a 3-game series here in Vancouver. Big tall kid out of Elon University. Looks into Binns, who sets up real low. 2-2 got him. Just 96, and I'll tell you this, you said it, Ricky, that ball just fires out of his hands.
Just jumps. And you add 96 to that, tough to pick up. It's really tough as a hitter, I feel like. You talk to any hitter in that dugout, and when there's a little bit of deception and velocity, forget about it. It's going to be a long night or a short one.
Well, yeah, it could be a little bit of both. Trevor Schwecke steps in. Here's a kid that the Blue Jays took this year in the draft, and out of the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee. He's probably been one of the more steadier offensive influences on this Canadians roster. As a 96-mile-an-hour fastball zips in for a strike. The right-hander winds and works. Breaking pitch fouled off very quickly, 0-2. Just a very gentle breeze every once in a while, simply reminding you that Mother Nature's checking in on this game. But you got 2 guys that are throwing strikes. Got to remember, in the top of the first, Townsend struck out 2 All-Stars to get this one to the bottom of the first. And right now, George Kirby's doing his thing. He's got Trevor Schwecke at 0 balls and 2 strikes. The right-hander kicks and fires. Got him. 96 right up and in, and that is nasty.
That's right after he dropped an 89-mile-per-hour slider, too. So hang with him.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those nights where if you're a Canadians hitter, you want to, I guess you would say, measure yourself against some of the bright lights that one day will make their way into the major leagues. And they knew that this matchup was coming. Last night, they got the second rounder, the lefty. Tonight, they get the first rounder for the right-hand side. It's been a tough 24 hours for the Canadians. But here's a guy that might be able to handle it. Philip Clark. What a whirlwind of a spring and summer he's had. Pitch misses low, and the count goes to 1-0 strikes. Clark was behind the plate for the Vanderbilt Commodores when they went on to win the NCAA College World Series. Ricky, that's a pretty good feeling.
100%. I do know all about that. 2004, baby. University of Texas went down.
The Horns got hooked.
Yeah,
there's a breaking pitch in for a strike, and the count goes to 1-1. Well, let me ask you this. You, of course, win the College World Series. The next minute, you're a professional. No rest for the wicked. How do you get rest in between those two highs and lows and then back to the high again?
Well, I mean, what better life than that? You win, you go out a champion.
Making it look easy. Rallied first, and I'll tell you what, the Blue Jays went well over slot value to sign Philip Clark, and a lot of people raise their eyebrows, but we've been around Clark for a couple of weeks now, and he is an instant leader. And the second that the Blue Jays dropped him into the Canadians batting order, it just transformed it almost transformed the entire identity of this team. But offensively, it gave them that one catalyst in the middle that you just knew was going to be able to be the bridge.
And he came from a program that's used to winning, so he has a good understanding and all of that. So that helps big time. And you want your catcher to be the leader of the team always, not just the pitching staff, but the leader of the team, guys who can huddle around him, and that's exactly who he is, or he's shaping up to be so far.
Well, I said, I don't know, sometimes I drink too much of the Vancouver Kool-Aid. I said, hey, Philip, what's it going to be like playing in front of a sold-out stadium with 6,000 every night? He goes, we did pretty good at Vanderbilt, too.
Exactly. Exactly. He comes from that kind of atmosphere, so I'm sure this is just another day in the park for him.
Absolutely. Well, Gregory Contreras swings and misses 94. Contreras is such a unique story. A couple of years ago, Baseball America put him near the top of the Blue Jay prospect list, and everybody was raving about this kid that could hit the ball to the top of the CN Tower. But his numbers are slowly declining this year, hitting .222 with just 2 home runs and 16 RBI, repeating the level in Vancouver, and just hasn't been able to get over the hump. No balls and 1 strike. With 2 outs here at the bottom of the first, no score. Kirby almost exclusively fastballs in this game. 94 fouled off. Every once in a while, he'll flash a breaking pitch. But for the most part, it's just here it is, fella. And outside of Philip Clark, there's been no takers.
It's tough to hit a well-located fastball. I don't care how hard it is. But like I said, add deception, you add velocity, well-spotted fastball, it is tough to hit. So I think the Vancouver Canadian hitters are just going to have to make a little adjustment at the plate and get out there and compete.
Well, if there's any silver lining, they'll only have to face Kirby for 3 innings at the most. He's on a very limited pitch count, so we'll get to see their bullpen as they'll get to see ours in the next couple of innings. Fastball a little bit up in the zone. Base umpire Summit Austin Nelson said that he did not swing. So now it is 1 ball and 2 strikes. Contreras will run into the odd fastball. It's the sliders that have been very tough on Contreras, but I'll tell you what, he squares up one of these, he might be able to take him to Barreltown. Throw over to first, and back in time is Philip Clark. Not known as a threat to steal all that many bases, but
those catchers, I tell you, no wheels ever.
Yeah, you know what? They're getting more athletic than they used to be. But that stigma is kind of falling by the wayside. There's that nasty slider, and the inning's over. Boy, Kirby, as advertised, strikes out 3, and we will make our way to the top of the second. We're getting a good look at 2 very good arms tonight. You're watching a heck of a pitching matchup here tonight on Sportsnet Pacific. When we come back, it'll be Cade Marlowe, Robert Perez, and Cash Gladfelter, the future of the Mariners, Going to get a look at Grant Townsend on the other side of the break. This is A&W Canadians baseball right here on Sportsnet Pacific.